Okay, let's look at our favorite depreciation method of all time, UG, double declining balance. So let's look at, before we had, I've had other examples that were straight line. Let's look at one of the more complex ones, double declining balance. So we have machinery with a cost of $500,000. It was bought on 1/1/17. Residual value of $50,000 and has a 3-year usable life. One of the reasons I'm choosing a 3-year usable life on such an expensive asset is I want to take you through the whole life cycle of this. If I make it 50 years, this will be a really long video. So let's go ahead and go to what we do. One of the things you do first, before you do anything else on this type of problem, is get the double declining rate. Okay? And the double declining rate is always the number 1 over the usable life. You'll notice the usable life is 3. That's its useful life. Take 1 over the usable life and multiply it by 2. The multiply it by 2 part is the double part of double declining balance. So usable years is 3. Take 1 over 3 times 2. That gives you a double declining rate of 0.667 per year. It's also, if it's easier, it's 2/3. So 1/3 times 2 is 2/3. But if you want to keep it just calculator, it's 1 divided by 3 times 2. So let's go ahead and first, because I want to start at the very beginning here to keep everything crystal clear, let's get the asset on the books. Okay, so we're going to buy it for $500,000, and there it is on the books at $500,000. You will notice that on the day that you purchase an asset, it has a net book value. It just happens to be a net book value of 0 because you have not taken any depreciation yet. Nothing has depreciated on the day that it gets slid across the counter to you. Let's go in year 2. We will take $500,000. And so this is the conclusion. Yeah, this is the conclusion. We bought it 1/1/2017. Now we're at December 31st, 2017. It's time to update depreciation. We take $500,000 and we multiply it by our double declining rate of 0.667. Notice you're taking all 12 months of depreciation, 1/1 to 12/31. That's because you happen to just buy it on 1/1. That's kind of a simplifying assumption. If it was bought 7/1, then you would take $500,000 times 0.667 times half. You'd take 6 months divided by 12. So just be cognizant of where you are, purchase price date versus when you're having to update depreciation. This is simple because we're just basically we bought it on the 1st and here we are 12 months later. So 500,000 times 0.667, which is our rate. Notice we're ignoring residual value. Okay, this is the only depreciation method that ignores residual value until the very last year. We'll get to that in a second. So we take the big number, 500,000 times 0.667, book our depreciation. You notice here we're updating what our net book value is as of 12/31/17. You may look at this and go, oh, why is he doing this? Why not just make the entries and move on? It's because we're going to use net book value. Oops. It's because we're going to use this net book value in a second. So here we are. That was the end of 12/31/17. Let's go down to 12/31/18. Make that correct. Tidying stuff up, sorry. Okay, so now let's make our entry on, let's make our entry here at the end of 12/31/18. We just did 17, let's do 18. Notice that now you're not multiplying by 500,000. Now we're multiplying by the latest version of net book value. Well, the latest version of net book value we have is last year's. This is how much potentially is available to be depreciated over the next year, over this year, 18. So we have 166,500. We're multiplying it by our rate. We keep this rate constant. Notice again, we're taking 12 months, 1/1/18 to 12/31/18, and we book it as depreciation. Notice you're taking a lot of depreciation early. 333,500. That's the first year's worth of depreciation. It drops off precipitously in year 2. Net book value, latest version we had of it, times 0.667. We book it as depreciation. Here again, I put this to just update the latest version of net book value. You can see why I'm doing it now because I want this number, the 55444, to make my last year's depreciation entry. Also, break it out like this so you can see the component pieces and you're not wondering where that came from. Notice it's the 333,500 of depreciation right here, and this added together, which gives you the accumulated depreciation. Let's go into the last year. The last year is the weird one because this is the year that you take into account residual value. What you do on the last year is you ask yourself, what's the latest version of net book value? Just like we did a second ago. And you can't depreciate that, right? You can't depreciate that because if you depreciated that, then you would be ignoring the residual value. This residual value would mean nothing because you would have fully depreciated it to zero. So what we take is we take the 444,000 and we ask ourselves, how much needs to be left over? How much net book value needs to be left over? Well, what needs to be left over in net book value is residual value, right here. So what we do is we take, very simply, we take the 55,444, that's how much potentially we could depreciate, but we want to leave 50,000. So we take 55,444, subtract 50,000, 50,000 is the residual value, and we take the difference to depreciation expense. Okay, and that covers us for the very last year. You notice that depreciation has dropped to almost nothing. That's one of the characteristics of double declining balance. A lot at the beginning, very little at the end. Let's go ahead and update net book value. We have, again, historical cost of 500,000. Accumulated depreciation, there's 3 years worth. There's year 1, 2, 3, and it leaves you with a net book value of $50,000. You will also note $50,000 happens to be our residual value. So that's the value that this asset on our books will not go below. Just wanted to go, I've gone through a couple of these double declining balance examples. You notice that you really just can't get enough because it's important, you know, it's not too complex. The thing that throws students off is they want to take 500,000 times 0.667 and put it here. And then in year 2, they want to take 500,000 and multiply it by 0.667. But it's a little more complex because you have to keep track of this net book value as you transit from year to year. I hope you found this useful.